There are many people who have some type of tension with tall women. For some reason, that sounds so odd to say. Like, it sounds like I'm saying that there are people who are out to get tall women, but I promise you it's going to make more sense the more I get into this episode. But for starters, we have the old people who have no problem with being shady towards the tall girlies. And if you're a tall girly listening to this right now, I'm sure that you've had an experience where some old lady on the street told you that you're never going to find a husband because of your height. It happens to the best of us. Then on the opposite side, we have little kids who have no filter and will say the rudest things to you and or look at you like a monster. Then we also have short men with fragile egos. No need to explain that any further. But what about the short girlies? Some of you guys have been saying that there's something between the short girlies and the tall girlies, maybe some beef. And in today's episode, we're actually going to unpack that. So let's get into it. Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who's tuning in today is doing super fantastic. Before I get into this episode, I do want to say, make sure you're following me on my socials at a Tall Girls podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest so that you can stay up to date on all of the latest podcast episodes and catch a glimpse of my everyday life. Also, feel free to leave me a review and let me know how tall you are. I'm genuinely curious. I also have a monthly newsletter. Make sure you subscribe to that. Everything is going to be linked in the description. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Now, before we get into this episode, I do want to pose a question early on before I give my take. Do the short girls hate the tall girls? Because apparently the short girlies have some hidden beef with the tall girlies. Have you heard about this? For context, I created a TikTok video. By the way, you should follow me on TikTok at a Tall Girls podcast. I created a TikTok video basically asking the tall girlies what's something that really isn't spoken about enough when it comes to being a tall girl. And one person commented the hidden beef that some short women have with us. And this comment had one of the highest amounts of likes of all the comments under that video. And so it seems like many of you guys actually agree with this. And that's actually what we're going to unpack today. Now, I've gathered some information from online, but also my personal life as a tall girly. And I feel like there are two areas where there may potentially be some type of beef between the tall girls and the short girls. And the first one I want to talk about is the dating sphere. Basically, the whole notion with the short girls are taking all of the tall men, leave the tall men for the tall women, blah, blah, blah. Let's listen to a couple tall girlies talk about this.
I'm going to talk to the 5'3", the height challenge girlies and below. I need you to stop hoarding all of the tall men from the tall girlies. I had enough, because at the end of the day, everybody's taller than y'all. I need y'all to stop hoarding all the tall men from all the tall girlies. Like, I need y'all to spare us some.
This is probably going to ruffle some feathers, but I don't really care. Something I hate to see, like I truly despise to see it, is a woman 5'4" and under with a man 6'2" and taller. Why? That is my biggest question. Why? As a 5'9" girl, you know, the pickings is already slim. And then y'all went and took the tall men too. So I'd be looking for kidless men with no children, and men over 6 feet. You short women are greedy.
If you're a woman that is under 5'5", leave the tall men alone. There are so many short guys that want a shot with a hot chick that's petite. And there's a lot of tall women that need tall men. Like, I have a friend and she's literally 5 foot. 5 foot. And she's like, I love tall guys because they can just like throw me around. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I like guys that are like 6 foot and up. And I'm like, whoa, yeah. I'm like, you're 5 foot tall. If you dated someone 5'9", that's 9 inches taller than you. What else do you need? 9 inches is significant.
All right, I want to read some of the comments because this is definitely going to lead into my next point. One person said, sorry, bae, I can't, as in she, as a short girly, can't leave the tall men alone. Another person said, I'm 4'10" and he's 6 foot. I had to give my baby linebackers a chance. Okay, now 4'10" and 6 foot, I don't want to say that's outrageous, but like, that's over a foot height difference. I mean, listen, to each their own. Love is love. but over a foot is kind of crazy to me. Another person commented, but they love me. I'm 5'1", gotta be 6 foot plus to ride this ride. Now, I kind of want to dive into the first part here. But they love me, meaning the tall men, I guess, are like seeking out the short women. And listen, I want to say right off the bat here that this is like everybody has different preferences. Not everybody's going to go for like a certain type of person or like a certain physical preference, okay? It's different for everybody. It just seems like that because it just seems like there could potentially be a pattern because that's what's spoken about a lot online, or maybe it's actually true. Maybe like for the most part the tall men are going for the shorter women, but I just wanted to bring some attention to the first part of that comment, but they love me, because let's not forget, like, yeah, I guess like the short women are going after the taller men, but like it takes two to tango. And the taller men are also going for the shorter women. Or I should just say there are a lot of tall men who would prefer to go for shorter women. That's probably the better way to say it. And that kind of like brings us to the notion, or hints towards the notion of, oh, do tall men prefer shorter women or taller women? To answer the question, which do tall men prefer to date, taller women or shorter women, I say it doesn't and shouldn't matter. We should be worrying less about what tall men are into and more about literally anything else. Let's listen to this tall girl's take really quickly.
So for whatever reason, I keep seeing posts complaining about how short girls are taking away all the tall men from tall girls. And my final straw was today I saw a viral post of a man complaining that short girls are delusional, and all the tall girls were in his comments eating it up and being like, yeah, I agree. And there are several points that y'all don't want to address, so I'm going to address it. Point number one. It is not just the short women who prefer tall men. It is some of the tall men who radically prefer short women. Okay, I've seen some men, some tall men who are 6 foot and above, who exclusively date women who are 5'3" and below. Okay, because we can, at the end of the day, we can talk all day about how short girls prefer tall men, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, when I go outside, when I go to class, everywhere I go, I see short girls and short men dating.
Now, beef, like, is there beef in this area between the tall girls and short girls? I wouldn't necessarily say beef, or if there is any type of beef, I guess you could say, it would more so be the tall girls having beef with the short girls, for the short girls taking the taller men. That was a lot of math. I hope that made sense. But I would probably say it's more of like a competition type of thing, like a competition for tall men. Ew, the idea of competing for a man is actually crazy. Competition for the genetics, yes, because I think that's ultimately the case. They want their children to be taller, or maybe there's just certain things about a tall man that they like feeling protected and this and that and the other. Whatever it is, it just seems more of like a competitive type of nature than them beefing with each other. But if there were some type of beef, it's the tall girls beefing with the short girls. Like, leave them alone. Leave the tall men alone. But personally, I don't think it's really an intentional type of thing. Like, oh, let's take all the tall men for ourselves and leave the tall women with nothing. Like, out of spite, towards tall women. Like, I personally don't think it's a thing of that. As women in society, if we're into men, we've been taught to only want to go for the taller men, like 6 foot and up. And that's just like a small pool of men, I think. Like, I don't like, the taller you get, like the less likely it is that there's people around your height, truthfully. So it's not like there's hundreds of billions of tall, like 6 foot plus men out there. But we've been taught to mainly go for that type of man. So I think it's more so a thing of just following societal norms of like trying to be with a 6 foot and over guy. I personally don't think it's any type of beef, but you can let me know your thoughts on this one. Now for the second area. And this, I think, honestly, is where some of the short girls actually have beef, because some short girlies will say the most outrageous things to the tall girls. For example, there's a Reddit post titled, "A short girl used a transphobic slur on me for my height." And additionally, I don't know if this statement had the actual I don't know if this was the actual statement that had the transphobic slur, but additionally, the person who posted this Reddit post also included what the short girl said. And she wrote that the lady said, I swear tall ogres are worse than short guys, and so forth and so on. Which is pretty outrageous. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's a crazy tall ogre, and you're calling short men short men. Like, if you're gonna say tall ogres, you need to say like at least like garden gnomes or something like that. Like tall ogres versus short men. Okay, either way, the whole statement is bad. It's rude. It's mean. Let's just agree on that. Now, there was a very interesting comment that was left under that post, and it said, my theory on this is that some short women go to great lengths to categorize themselves as the male ideal as a way to take back some power. And I personally think that this kind of ties back to societal norms and what we're taught through the media and what we're even taught culturally, that the women are supposed to go for the men who are taller and the men are supposed to go for the women who are shorter. With that idea and then that comment, it's like, I don't know, it's interesting. It's a kind of a thing of like, oh, men like us better than the tall women, the men like the shorter women better than the tall women. So haha, at least we have that on the tall girls. And see, that kind of leads into another point. Number one, before I even get into that, we should be decentering men. It should not be a competition like, oh, like we're the male ideal, men want us more than tall women, da 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 da. Like it should never ever be about that. But anyways, but it's kind of a thing of, I think that there are some short women out there who are just very insecure. There are some short women out there who really don't like being short because, I mean, to a degree, being tall, even as a woman, is an advantage. We're taken seriously. We're taken more seriously. People are more likely to respect us or even find us intimidating, so they're less likely to, like, I don't know, mess with us or whatever. We're like more likely to hold higher positions of power and so forth. It's just a thing of being tall is advantageous, and some short women struggle with that because they're also insecure about their height. They're insecure about being short. They want to be taller. They want to be taken more seriously because the short girlies also get bullied. The short girlies also get made fun of. The short girlies also have a unique set of struggles. So it's like sometimes like how the tall girlies also want to be shorter. They truly want to be shorter. Some of the short girlies also want to be taller, and they're insecure, and they may even be a little bit more jealous. They might be a little bit jealous of the tall girl because of her height. And we all know what happens when someone gets jealous or insecure of someone. I mean, some people can handle it healthily and really just do some self-reflection, but they also project those insecurities. They project that jealousy onto the other person, trying to make them feel bad, calling them names, saying sly remarks or sly comments, to ultimately try to bring them down to their level. Because there are some things that they'll say that will make a tall girl insecure, think like, whoa, like, is there something wrong with me? For example, like, I wish I was tall, but not as tall as you are. Or I've gotten this one in particular a lot. Oh my gosh, like, you're so tall, like, you make me feel so small. Ugh, I absolutely despise that comment. But even something like that, it's like, why would you say that? Or why would you say it like that? It's like small, subtle jabs that seem so minute, so small, but can also be hurtful at the same time. And again, it kind of ties back into the insecurities, ties back to the jealousy. For the most part, I personally feel like they do stuff like that because they genuinely want to be tall, but because they feel bad about their height, they want to make you feel bad about your height. Or maybe they just genuinely don't like tall women. Who knows? But I don't even know. I mean, but like this type of beef is kind of like similar to what I even said in the intro. Older people will say ridiculous things or rude things to tall women. Kids will. Shorter men. Even taller men. People in general, you know? It's kind of a thing that it's all around, you know? It's not just the short girlies. But in my personal opinion, I feel like especially as adults and when you get older, with kids, it's like a different story. They're more likely to be extremely mean. And, you know, we're at that phase where we're all insecure about something and so forth. But getting past that and getting to adulthood and really, if you really work on yourself and so forth, I honestly think for the most part that the short girlies like the tall girlies. Like, I think that they honestly really admire us. There was actually a comment under a video that I that the video doesn't relate to this episode at all, but the comment itself does. And it says, as a short girl, I treat my tall friends like the gorgeous model goddesses they are. And honestly, if you're in a healthy friendship, that's usually how it is. It's just that, you know, there are some people out there who take their insecurities out on tall women or just feel the need to have some type of anger towards tall women. But we should just be able to live in a world where it shouldn't be short versus tall. You know what I mean? Where we are able to appreciate each other's differences. So in my personal opinion, my take is the short girlies, there are short girlies out there who truly admire us as tall women, but there are also people out there, including short women, who are very insecure about their height, who are very jealous of our height. So they'll try to say or do anything to make us feel bad about our height so that they can feel a little bit better of, okay, I have some type of power over this person. Or even something similar to with the previous Reddit comment talking about how, like trying to categorize themselves as the male. That's a very interesting point though. Categorize themselves as the male ideal to be like, at least I have this up over you. You have everything else. You have everything else that I personally want. But men prefer me over you. Ooh, that's kind of sick. I did ask you guys in a poll over on Instagram, and I'm going to do a quick little plug here. Make sure you follow me at A Tall Girls Podcast so you can participate in these polls and have your opinions heard on these episodes. But I did ask you guys in a poll, tall girls, do you think there's some hidden beef between the tall and short girls? 81% of you guys said no, I vibe with the short girls and they vibe with me. And 19% of you guys said, yeah, the short girls don't really like us. And I got a funny, before I comment on this one, I got a funny DM from one of you guys saying, the only people who have beef with tall women are tall men. Why did I laugh at that a little bit? Okay, you know what? I'm not even going to go into depth about whether that part about tall men beefing with tall women, if that's true, because that actually is going to be another episode in and of itself based on some of the comments I got under that TikTok video I talked about earlier in this episode. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, you guys seem to think that short girlies and the tall girlies get along. The short and tall girlies vibe. Like, we're all vibing with each other. We all like each other. We all hang out. We all hype each other up and so forth. Like, even some of you guys on Instagram, some of you guys that I follow on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, I see videos of you guys making TikTok and Instagram just videos with your short friends. Like, and it's just the cutest thing ever. We absolutely love to see that. So, like I said, for the most part, there really isn't some hidden beef. But to a certain degree, there are some short girls out there who they just don't like tall women. Or maybe they just don't like the fact that we have something that they want. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. Every tall girl should have a short best friend. I feel like the short besties will always hype up the tall girlies. If you're a tall girl watching this right now, tag your short bestie in the comments. Also, while we're on that note, if you're a tall girl watching this right now, how tall is your shortest friend? I don't know, I kind of feel like some of the best friendships are between two girlies who are like a foot apart. Anyways, that is going to be the end of this episode. My personal take is, collectively, I think that the short girlies love the tall girlies, but as with the other categories, as I said before, the old people, the short men, the kids, etc., there are some short girlies out there who they just genuinely, yeah, they do have some type of beef with tall women. I will admit that, but that's because they're insecure. That's because they're jealous of us, jealous of our height. They haven't really worked on those insecurities. They haven't really done some type of self-reflection. They're projecting onto us. They want to make us feel bad about ourselves, to feel like they have some type of power over you, or even something as interesting as categorizing themselves as a male ideal to take some of the power back. I actually really want to know what your thoughts are on that, because that's a very interesting point that was made. I did not think about that until I saw that comment. But I do think to a certain degree it's true, especially if the short girly is very male centered and they feel like their worth or their existence or being or whatever is like it has to involve a man in some type of way. But I think that for the most part, the short girlies and the tall girlies are like this. And if you're listening to the audio version, I'm crossing my fingers because the short girlies and tall girlies, I feel like they're pretty close and they could be good friends. The short girlies just need to stop lying about what's tall girl friendly. But that was already an episode in and of itself, so you should definitely check that one out. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Of course, as always, feel free to hit me up on my socials at A Tall Girls Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, whatever. They're going to be linked in the description. You can let me know what you thought about this episode. You can let me know if you think that some short girls or all short girls have some type of hidden beef with tall girls. You can let me know what you think about the idea of some short women categorizing themselves as the male ideal, or literally just let me know anything that's going on in your life. I'm always down to chat, or even talk about some of your experiences with the short girlies, whether they're good or bad. Hit me up, let me know. And until then, I will catch y'all in the next one. Good night and goodbye.